Mishmash! Kitbash Corner!
Yeah, today we're going to be doing some rather unconventional kit bashing. That means outside of Space Marines. Though I'm not counting it officially, this could be chalked up to a sequel to the Forbidden Psalm series. During my Adepticon trip, I ended up with a lot of different bits from the Miniatures Bazaar and the Smash Bash booth. After gathering up a bunch of little cool bits and bobs, it sparked the idea for a warband of aquatic freaks.
Do you love me? Are you playing your love games with me?
I'll be making use of some Aegis Sigmar kits and Wargames Atlantic Fantasy kits. Naturally, I'll show you how I kit bash these guys, and on top of it, I'll even show you a little showcase of how I got a grimdark paint scheme on each of the figures. But before we get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, hype the video if you're on mobile, and if you really dig it, consider becoming a channel member. For just $3 a month, you get to see my videos early, and for $5, you get access to a weekly fan stream in which I'll showcase your models and you even get extra videos. You also get exclusive roles and channels within the Mishmash Discord, and above everything else, it just really helps me out. Huge thank you to the channel members, you guys are amazing. And if you want to help me further, as well as help yourself to amazing hobby products, make sure to hit up those affiliate links in the description, along with their respective codes. I only ever take affiliate links for things I actually use on the channel here, so you know it's good stuff. But enough of the promotional stuff, let's actually get into the kit bashing. Now, like I said, I'm going to be utilizing some kits from the Wargames Atlantic Classic Fantasy line, primarily the Goblins as well as the Satyrs. The Goblin kit will be used for smaller-bodied, I guess, henchmen of sorts. Initially, I was planning on using more of the Wargames Atlantic zombies, but I thought it was a little too obvious, and I might just do that off camera sometime. The Satyrs, on the other hand, are admittedly kind of a weird choice on its face. Considering Satyrs / Beastmen or Faun-like characters are never really associated with aquatic-based warbands or factions within fantasy, the reason I'm using this body is purely because of just how primally terrifying it is to me personally. The main build for the Satyrs is the epitome of raw primal power, muscle in the right places, along with a healthy amount of fat. To which I'm planning on utilizing as a little bit of a bloated corpse design. In a bit of creating a little bit of a, I guess, Davy Jones crew look for this guy, I'm attaching the Smash Bash claws to the Satyr build. The way the arms primarily fit onto the Satyr models is they have these little pegs built halfway on the arm. So I thought it would be a good fit to essentially just fit the claws halfway to kind of give a little bit of a transformation look. I'll then be fitting on one of the helmets, and already this is kind of taking life. It already naturally looks scary with the, I guess, demonic T-pose look, but when I add a little bit of extra super glue to the halfway point, to essentially make it a melding point between skin and chitin. Looks nasty now, but once it dries, it looks a lot more natural. However, once I was happy with the base build, things get a little wacky as I decided to just straight up slice his legs off, or I guess snip them off. A little out of left field, but you'll see the reasoning. Plus, at the same time, I can't imagine this guy just having hooves. I might have sliced it a little close and a little bit more than I probably should have, but I like the look, and you'll see what I'm doing here. Essentially, I'm just caking the bottom of his stumps now, I was gonna say legs, but they're stumps, in some sprue goo and a mixture of super glue. I'll then apply him to the base, and this will naturally give a little bit of a wavy effect. Plus, it's a way of me covering up his crotch without molding something down there anyway. I mean, I'd do it, but probably not on YouTube. After this, I'd begin applying a little bit of my wave effect paint to the base. However, this is just a little bit of a prelude to what I'll be doing later with the painting. I felt like just showing it here because it just kind of naturally makes sense. But once we get to the actual painting process, you'll see the rest. Moving on, however, I do need to make my little goblin and, I guess, henchmen of sorts? I don't really know what to call these things. Sea imps, how about that? Well, of course, naturally, I had to decapitate the first goblin to get the actual helmet to fit in place. It already had a little bit of trouble because it's metal and plastic, and sometimes that just doesn't glue right properly. But after a little bit of super glue, it fits perfect. However, I did decide to use this demonette bit that I also got from Adepticon as his main weapon. I didn't really know what else to do here, but with just a little bit of extra shaving of the Slaneshi decorum, it is a perfect fit, especially for the lopsided design. Lopsided. But with a little bit of extra sprue goo to kind of fit it into the weird body shape of the Wargames Atlantic Goblin, it matches really nicely. It doesn't even really seem like a different kit. However, I did need something for the other arm. Now, for another kitbash that I did with this army, or I guess warband in the same project, so to speak, I did end up just using the regular goblin arms. However, my homie Mr. Bones gave me an extra sprue from his ghouls from Age of Sigmar, so I thought it was a good opportunity to use them as they had a bunch of rusty-looking swords and shields. Plus, I kind of fell in love immediately with the super skinny arms that were incredibly long compared to the rest of the body. There's just a little aspect of dead space to it that I like. Obviously the weapon is perfect, but once I saw just how evil and nasty these long arms looked on these tiny bodies, I had to do it for the second guy, as I just ended up using one of the actual halberds, which again I think looks really funny on this dude because of how gargantuan it is to his entire body. It's twice as big as he is. Same with his nasty arms, he could practically touch his toes just by standing. All I really had to do was just add a little bit of sprue goo to fit him in too. It doesn't really take that much for this to actually work properly. For his noggin, I just gave him one of the base helmets, however I completely carved the face up to make him look all ghoulish and nasty. Didn't get footage of this, however, but you'll see it during the painting process. And I actually did end up getting some extra footage from a guy that didn't make the final cut for the Warband, but I thought it was cool enough to add in just for extra footage. This guy might be a leader for another sub-faction. I really like this look, but I don't know. He could be part of the actual warband, being that the mask that comes from the Smash Bash bits kind of gives me a little bit of a tribal mudman look. And I can't help but think that fits right in with a water-like design, so you could kind of argue it. But I wasn't entirely sure, so I kind of left him separate from the main cast. However, I still think he looks amazing, and I love the shield that came with the Smash Bash bits. I also gave him this little frog thing, but I ended up giving it to one of the other guys, just because I wasn't sure if he was going to make the final cut. Regardless, he's another cool figure, and he's still primed, but I haven't decided how I want to paint him. Might be an extra for a future video, or perhaps something I just make for a members thing. I'm really happy with how the chaff ended up. Though they're painted here, I might as well just show off the finished models so you can just go ahead to the next part. But I'm really happy with how the chaff turned out. I really did want to focus mostly on the main big guys because that was what inspired me to do this to begin with, but I'm really happy with how these guys turned out because they just fit the bill for what I'm going for. The fun of a warband to me is having a little bit of everything. I'm not huge on mob armies and I don't really like warbands that are just 3 big dudes, so it's kind of the perfect balance. You also probably noticed that there's another little character that made the cut for this, and this is just straight up one of the bits from the Smash Bash box. I like this nasty fish. This tickles a little bit of the back of my brain, as one of my very favorite design philosophies is that of illuminated manuscript. Of course, naturally, I love the crazy critters, the overall design for knights and men, the early showings of mimic behavior in humans. It's just very appealing to me. And of course, naturally, I'm being reductive considering this is a 1,000-year period of history, but I'm already over-explaining this, so I'm gonna get into this in a future video. You'll see very soon. But without further ado, let's actually get into the big models. Now, primarily, these bigger guys, if not all of them actually, now that I think of it, come from the Wormspat Underworld's team for Age of Sigmar. The first one I'm kitbashing here is technically the leader of the group, or at least in my eyes he is. I haven't really decided on the lore, I just wanted to make some cool dudes and go backwards from there. The first thing I ended up really doing was completely clipping away the first hand after essentially assembling the entirety of the figure. And of course, I'm replacing his main arm with that of the Smash Bash crab hands. I tried saying crab and lobster at the same time. Of course, I ended up doing what I previously did on the other figures, creating plenty of super glue between the crab claw and the main arm to create a nasty halfway point. Already the set pose is perfect, and I think another thing that I like about this model is it's not a very sophisticated kitbash. It's really just a few pieces here and there. And of course, naturally, I do want to replace his noggin with one of the helmets. This was a bit of a project for this model in particular, being that he is a push fit, and the main little area for his noggin to rest in is essentially just a platform. and that being just 2 pieces fit together. I ended up dremeling this out just a little bit to create a little bit more of a divot for the helmet to fit in. However, I ended up making a lot of little issues for myself, so essentially I just caked the entirety of the inside using some sprue goo and a little bit of super glue. But this worked in my favor. Created a little bit more of that nasty texture, and once I was done fiddling and fitting the head in place, it's perfect. I ended up leaving a little bit of the flakes left behind from the dremeling too, which also added to the texture. And again, this isn't a super sophisticated kit bash. I didn't really have to do a ton of work. However, I didn't really want any Nurgle iconography. I wanted these guys to be a little bit more ambiguous. So what I ended up doing was essentially glazing over the icons using sprue goo and plain Tamiya, and over time I would add in little droplets of super glue. This created the nasty texture and almost gave the look of barnacles, however I didn't really paint them as such. You could, however, do that if you wanted to go even further with the nautical theme. But once I was happy with that, this guy's already done, and it's about time we work on his brother. This guy is a similar story. I'm essentially just destroying his arm and dremeling it out so I can fit in the crab claw. However, I didn't realize that I ended up using 2 different sized ones for the human model that I used previously. I mean, it's not really a human, but you know what I mean. I don't feel like re-recording that. He has a smaller claw now, so I decided to make it look a little bit more mangled by dremeling out the arm and fitting the claw in place as if it was bursting through his original hand. A little bit of a halfway point, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. And of course, like his brother, I ended up having to completely dremel out his head for the helmet to fit in place. Initially, it was a bit of a downside because it's a lot of extra work to really do this, but once I had completely decided to just dremel it in and look as if the skin is forming around the head, I was happy with how it turned out. Of course, I'm adding more of my evil texture in to create that nasty look, but I also decided to kind of chop off some of the spikes. Again, I like how this looks, and I ended up keeping the main spikes on the front end of the model, but I didn't really like it in the back as I felt it was a little too busy. Of course, naturally, I sanded off the iconography and fit in the same style of how I did the previous texture work. And of course, naturally, I just added in the other arm. This isn't really that much of an insane kit bash. I mean, let's face it, both of these guys are really just adding in different bits and cutting off the old ones. I mean, I guess that's kind of what kitbashing is, but you get the picture. But we do have one more model, this being the hag figure from the Rot Flag Scabbity Bag, whatever the original name is. And for this, I'm making a nasty octopus hag thing. So I decided to use a ton of the Wargames Atlantic Weird War tentacles. I've used plenty of these on previous kit bashes for the Forbidden Psalm series, but I think this really works, considering the original actually had tentacles that went along with the weapons. Kinda wish I used the original, but I do like the idea of this being just an incomprehensible mass of tentacles. Initially, I decided to give this body one of the Plague Monk Skaven heads. Now, if both sides looked like the skull, I probably would have kept this, as it kinda does give the idea or look of a sea skinwalker of sorts, or just SCP-682. But like the actual SCP, I thought this kinda turned out a little lame, so I decided to carve out one of the Weird Ward maggot things, and I would lazily and haphazardly glue this in place using sprue goo and super glue. Now this, in particular, looks really nasty the way I'm doing it. I am just globbing it on. But the way it dries is actually pretty seamless. There's even a really nice distinction between the original cloak and the worm head. Doesn't look like it now, but during the painting it'll be a lot more obvious. I also decided to take the liberty of using the sprue goo with the super glue to create some nasty drool strings between the body and the tentacles. However, though I kinda realized after I applied this that it's still gonna dry like plastic, it's not transparent. So I decided to ultimately use this more akin to a guideline rather than actual drool strands. I could paint it and apply an effects paint after the fact, but I preferred something more transparent. But we'll see this during the painting process. Speaking of which, let's actually do that now. But before we get into all that painting goodness, I want to talk a little bit about today's sponsor, Tabletop Stronghold. Tabletop Stronghold is your one-stop shop for the best carrying case you can get on a budget. This being the Mag Case. Utilizing the power of magnets, you can rest assured knowing that your models and all that hard work you spent painting them will be valued. Doesn't matter if you're running a kill team or a gargantuan army, there are all sorts of mag case sizes to fit your needs, and if you don't have room for a display case, this thing makes for a great storage unit. And even if carrying cases aren't your jam, there's all sorts of awesome MDF terrain Tabletop Stronghold offers that you can add to your battlefield. And to sweeten the deal, you can use my discount code MASH25 to save 25% on your purchase. Now that's a deal. Huge thank you to Tabletop Stronghold for sponsoring this video. That is paying some freaks. Now for the scheme of the overall warband, I am kind of going all over the place. However, there is a little bit of coordination with the bigger guys. Well, 2 of them. I'm always privy to turquoises, so I decided to use the John Blanche Turnbull turquoise color from the Speed Paints range, as well as a little bit of Stegadon scale green. This leaves me with a wonderfully murky turquoise color, one very befitting for an aquatic-themed warband. However, the main reason I did this is because I wanted the crab claws to really stand out. The way I went about this was first base coating all the crab claws using the Amp Colors line from Pro-Acryl, this being orange-yellow. Ages ago, I was actually quite inspired by Darcy Bono's way of painting Tyranids. Though the memes would have been funny to go for a coconut crab look, I wanted to go for a traditional lobster claw. And I do have to say, as far as yellow colors go, this is incredibly smooth. I also decided to add in a little bit of orange oxide with some of the other claws just to give myself a little variation. But any yellowish orange color will do as an undercoat. The next thing I really went for in terms of making these guys stand out was painting the flesh using a pale ivory color mixed with some flesh tones, and making sure to add in some really nasty shades over to really give that bloated corpse feel. For this, I used Coolia green shade in some areas, and then blended it using a little bit of red wash as well as purple washes. To clarify, I let the Coolia dry first, and then I would blend the reds and purples. Letting that kind of cool undertone dry first allows for a better color, otherwise you just kind of get a weird gray tone. I also decided it would be good for all the armor to have a nice wash of the orange oxide, and I would wipe away the excess using a little bit of makeup sponge. I was a little worried this would kind of counterbalance the way that the orange crab claws contrasted with the main armor, but you'll see briefly that this is all according to plan. You see, the way I'm painting the crab claws is I'm essentially taking a little bit of that dark turquoise color and speckling it over using a makeup sponge as well. This creates a rather natural chitin pattern over the claw, and I'll end up glazing over this using some bloodletter. Though if you're copying what I'm doing, I'd probably just use some Too Thin Coat's red glaze. I still had a pot of this and I wanted to flex. But once it's dry, I would apply a healthy amount of Vallejo's water texture over the bases, and once that dried, I would just use a little bit of UV resin for a nice clear coat. After that, the models are finished. And I'm really pleased with how these guys turned out. Some I like better than others, of course. Naturally, the leader is my favorite model of the bunch. However, I think the little guys that turned out to be the chaff ended up really standing out. There's no real color scheme that ties these guys together. However, I think their theme speaks for itself. I'll be real with you, the main reason I wanted to do this project to begin with was my love for Forbidden Psalm. There is a lot I want to do with this system, and there's actually a little bit of a campaign I want to write up. I alluded to it previously, but you can expect another series episode of this very soon. This mostly starring Meridian Miniatures, but we'll save that for when it comes out. For now, I hope you enjoyed this, as it was kind of a detour from what we usually do on the channel. It's been a while since I've done a video like this, and the last time we did it, I didn't really do too well, but I'm hoping if you enjoyed it yourself, you'll be sure to make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and especially share with your friends. I love kitbashing my Space Marines, but I would like to do more things like this more frequently. Man, if these videos bomb, I can't really do it as often. But hey, I've definitely been flapping my beak enough for one video, so like always, remember to mishmash, kitbash, and paint some fantastic miniatures. And you're gonna. I promise. See ya.